Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Brankus Creations, and thank you very much for joining me today for this live stream on a beautiful Saturday morning here. It is threatening to be a pretty warm day today, so I've got the air conditioner on here to keep me cool. I will just do the normal thing here, and I'll have a quick hello to everyone that is here. Jack68K, hello. Steve Mac84, hello. Retro Mac UK, quack. Frank S, hello. Luke F, hello. K Mac Vintage, hello. And Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack, hello. And Mystery Margot, hello. Roger Salter, hello. Jared Burma, hello. A lot of familiar faces there. Thank you very much for joining me. So I've got a bit of a Rudolph thing going on the end of my nose there. Oh, that's all about. Just very quickly, my last live stream. Oh god, I'm wobbling the table a bit here, aren't I? On my last live stream, I did a little kind of retro gaming thingy like this, and I have to say that I have been playing this quite a lot, and it's awful fun. Specifically Tetris. One of the games on there is Tetris, and I've been playing that a fair bit. I was a little bit confused by it initially. Let me just go to the top view here quickly. Oh, that's a close-up, isn't it? It's maybe a little too close. I might have to sort that out. But anyhow, I was initially a little bit confused by it. I've figured it all out now, but we've got this Tetris there. I'm sorry about how hard it is to see the dots. That's because of all the surrounding light. It's clear as crystal for me in real life. This here's Snake. This one here is a car racing game. It's pretty stupid. This one here is a shooting game, which is just absurdly easy. And the last one I was really confused by. That one there that has resemblance to a phallus is actually how you control the brightness, I believe. This one is actually like a, what do you call it? Poker machine type thing. You know, you tell it how much you want to bet. I want to bet 4, and then you spin it, and then you see what you get here. And if you get 3 of something or whatever, or you win money. And I bored of that about as quickly as I bore of real poker machines. But anyhow, this has been really good fun. I've been very happy with this one. So that's a great kit. That's given me probably more entertainment than many of the other kits that I've built before. I did also make a promise in the last live stream. I meant to bring this in the last live stream, but I brought it down this time instead to show you this. With a bit of tape stuck to it. This here is a thing called a Merlin. It's on the date on the back, copyright 1978, Parker Brothers. Now this was the first multi-game handheld game device. There were other game devices out there, but they only played one game. This one, Tic-Tac-Toe, Music Machine, Echo, Blackjack 13, Magic Square, and Mindbender. Select level of difficulty 1 to 9. So it does look a lot like a telephone handset. Hello. I imagine the insides are fairly rudimentary. That's a great big speaker up the top there. Then each one of these is a button that has a little LED behind it. And then you've got some little buttons down the bottom here. I didn't bring any batteries down with me, but we can always power it up from this used, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 1.5 volt batteries, so it runs off 9 volts. So this is not the actual one. The actual one died. This is one that I bought in recent years, but I received one of these as a gift, as I think a birthday or probably a birthday present when I was a youngster. Would have been very young at the time. And I just thought I'd bring it down because it is an interesting little contrivance. It's sort of they don't make them like that anymore. It's probably a good thing, but anyhow. And I've also brought down my little friend Davros. Any Doctor Who fans out there will recognise this little guy, because I'm bringing him down to lament the fact that he is apparently never to be represented on wheels ever again. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the live stream. So, and thank you, Steve. Yes, don't forget to smash that like button. So, what have we got? Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack says -2 degrees C, 30 F. That doesn't sound very pleasant. So it's forecast to get up to 34 here today, 34C. I'm not sure what that is in the, but it's bloody warm. But I have my little trusty air conditioner here. It's blowing straight on me. It doesn't cool this space particularly well because it is a shed. But it does cool me. It's pointed straight at me. Also, just a reminder, wacky t-shirts, QWERTY, link in the description, discount code. Gotta love it. I managed to get an oil stain on this one. Look at that. I might have to sort that out. Right, let's just have a quick look at the chat here. Mystery Margot says, I'm going to have to attempt recapping my Colour Classic myself now. Well, that is character building. So, go for it. Ryan Joffrey, hello there. OA, hello there. Who else? Have I missed anyone here? I think so. Only just got video now for some reason. Hello. Yes, that's okay. Well, I don't know why the video didn't work. It seemed to be working for me, but anyhow, you never know with these things. What else? I just recently released a video reviewing this, the Kai Wheats Kets 02 soldering iron, digital soldering iron. Pretty impressed with it. It's not a bad soldering iron at all. It's not necessarily one that I would consider will replace my one here at the desk, but it is. I love this. You know, just chuck that in your toolkit, in the power supply on the cable, and you're good to go. It's that's quite nifty. One of the issues I did have with it were the availability of the replacement tips. I'm so glad this isn't hot. But I have found a place where you can buy individual tips quite readily, and I will be putting information about that in the description of my review video. Cool. I'm just checking here. Okay. 8 inches of snow and counting. Well, we are metricated here, but I still know what 8 inches is. That's a lot of snow. That's not ideal. I imagine that would be quite difficult to live with. I would have no idea because I have never seen snow before. Other than in pictures, but I've never experienced snow for myself because I'm in a bloody hot country. We can grow mangoes here, just letting you know. We can grow mangoes right here. My next door neighbour's got a mango tree. Okay. Right, anyhow. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be building another kit, as I have been doing in a couple of live streams, or a few live streams lately, a bit of a series of them. This doesn't mean the end of the repair videos. I've got some other repair stuff that I'm going to be doing and having in my my live streams. So, Gaming Wolf, hello. Welcome to the stream. Kit. This is a digital oscilloscope. Now, I've built one before, but I wasn't able to actually find the kit that I've built before online. I couldn't, well, certainly not on Amazon. I always try and make the links available on Amazon just to make it easier for everyone. So I generally try and buy kits that I can buy on Amazon. So one that I bought before, it's nice, comes in a little case and everything like that. Couldn't find it. So anyhow, I found this one here. There's a few different versions of this same one available. It's still sealed into the packet, so we'll see what comes with it. Bruce USA. Hello, American Bruce. Welcome from Australian Bruce. Okay. You're probably my favourite repair YouTuber right now. Well, thank you very much for that. I shall have to work very hard to try and maintain that. The pressure is on. What is FYP? If someone could fill me in on what my FYP. Found you on my FYP recently. I'm not sure what an FYP is. For You page. Ah, that's the YouTube thing. That's excellent to know. Isn't that good? Every now and again, it offers some suggestions, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. I get suggested some really weird stuff on top. I was watching a video the other day, a live stream, and it got to the end of the live stream and then it just came up with the, what's up next, and just comes playing its own suggestion. It ended up playing a video of a painting. It was like 4-hour long live stream just of a painting. Not quite sure why it thought I would want to watch that, but I don't know whether to be complimented or insulted. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. I'd send you snow if it could make the trip. Yeah. Look, from what I hear from a lot of people, snow is a really cool thing to visit, but not necessarily a cool thing to live with. So, but I don't know. I mean, someone like Jay from the House of Moth absolutely adores his snow. Gets very upset when it doesn't snow. I watched your stream. Did I watch your stream tonight? Was yours the painting? Anyone who actually, like, I try and watch some live streams when I can, but I am so bloody busy. I don't watch a lot of YouTube, which is, I know that's bad. And of course, the people that watch me that have their own channels, I should be watching them in return. And I do try and do that, but I just don't have a whole lot of time. So I've just done a little nip in this little anti-static bag. We'll just go to a top view, but what about a side view? How about that? Is that okay? It's a little bit flat. The image is a little bit flat. Incidentally, this camera that we're filming through at the moment is a very, very good camera. I think it's the little HDMI converters that convert the HDMI into a digital signal. I think they're the ones that do the yuck. Do I have any... Let's just have a look. Do I have any settings for that I can... Oh, I've got brightness. Look at that. This one? Yeah, look at that. Brightness and contrast. So let's try that, shall we? I'm just going to do something here very quickly on this side camera. Bear with. Filters. Let's switch that off. Okay, so now we've just got the raw signal coming in. And then if I do a little bit of a brightness, and then I'll do a little bit of a contrast. That's too flat. That's too bright. That'll do. That'll do. Hopefully that's okay. Or maybe it was better off the way it was. Okay, so let's have a look in here. How are the chooks? The chooks are good. Let's have a quick look at the chook, shall we? We'll just jump across to the chook. Quickly here, but I am going to zoom out. Oopsie. I was doing lots of close-up stuff when I was doing my soldering iron review, so that's why it was zoomed in so far. Oh, crap. I had no audio when I was on the chickens thing. Thank you for letting me know. Let's just sort that out now in case we want to go back to it later on. Ta-da! Yeah, okay. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, and in that time, a chicken has appeared. So there we go. Hello, little chicken. That is, his name is, her name is the black one. Actually, yeah, I think that's the black one. Yep. So let's go back to top view. I really must get myself some sort of control panel for changing views. That would be really good. So here is our kit. Lost your face now. We don't need that face. Okay, open. Let's see what we have inside. Here's our anti-static bag. Let's just get a little bit of Davros here. There we go. Yes, look at this. We've got this little button. Press a button. I think it's... Is it that one? Or this one? This one? This one? I think it's this one. And it goes... Whee! A little panel comes off. A little side panel comes off. Great opportunity to put some lights in this, I think. Anyhow, let's just get Davros there. He's going to keep an eye on us. So, we have... Oh, there's our 2.4-inch TFT LCD. There we go. No cracks, thankfully. It's got a screen protector on it. Got some little standoffs here, which kind of seem pointless given the fact that the thing has no freaking case. But anyhow, this, as usual with these things, rather disappointingly, has all the surface mount components already in place. Now, I know why they do it. obviously if they were going to be selling these with surface mount components, the number of returns they would end up getting from people going, oh, it doesn't work, and it would just be because people have bridged some pins or something like that. I get why they do it, but I love doing surface mount soldering, so I do wish these did have options at the very least for a full kit where you get to stick the surface mount components on. But I'm going to resolve that soon, because I'll be doing a video fairly soon, very soon actually, where I'll be building one of these, and this is surface mount components to the Bilio. So yeah, okay. Still miss Bernadette's cameo on your streams. I do too. I miss Bernadette a lot. Bernadette was a very cheeky little chicken, because she used to come in here and wasn't meant to come in here, but she used to perch up on my microscope, and she would just hang out with me here while I was doing live streams, and yeah, it was. Our friend from the other stream shared some control panel details. Yes, I know, I saw his, but his was a serial solution. I'm just not sure about that. I'd like to see if I can find a solution that doesn't use a serial port. I'm just a bit thingy about doing things with serial. But anyhow, I will check it out. I'll check it out. I might be able to do something about it. This is, what was this? What's his channel's name? Ephemeral. What was it? Do you mind putting a link in, Steve, to his channel? He's a bit of fun. Just a suggestion to everyone. So this is a guy who. He basically gets hold of VHS tapes. He gets them from deceased estates, or he gets them from yard sales, or he gets them from wherever, given to him, donated to him, and he ends up with masses and masses of VHS tapes. He basically wades through them to find out what's on them and see if there's anything there that should be archived, something that hasn't already been put onto YouTube or onto the Internet Archive. And so he sort of does it as a duty, an archiving duty, going through and getting all these videos and archiving them. And he live streams while he does it, and he shows what he's actually archiving. Has a bit of a chat about it. Sometimes it's like we show a bit of a movie, or it might be a bit of a TV series. But more importantly, he has all these really old I mean, let's face it, it's going to be old if they're VHS, and a lot of them have got ads on them. And so we go through, look at all these silly American ads from the 1980s and stuff like that. And look, it seems like, what's. That's not interesting, but Steve and I have actually visited, gone to his live streams lately, and they're quite fun to have going in the background. So anyhow, there's a link in there. Check it out. See what you think. Yeah, as I say, you will likely see me and Steve and probably Dana as well in the live chat if you happen to visit one of his live streams. So. Forgot how spicy Cajun food was until my first bite just now. Oh God, you're making me hungry. I haven't had breakfast. You're going to try out your new soldering pencil, the Ketz 02. Well, it's interesting because I did actually use that in another live stream. I may indeed use it on this one. I did want to say I wasn't cruel enough in my review of the Ketz 02. I really wasn't cruel enough about the interface of the TS101. This is the TS101, which is another one of these all-in-one type soldering irons. And I absolutely hate the interface on this thing. I mean, with a passion. It's awful. This isn't great, but it's better than this. So, just saying. If I had my choice over these two, I would take this one in a heartbeat. Even though I find this one insanely cute. I don't know why, just because it's so small. It's like really, it's very, very cute. But I find the tip is way too far away from where you hold when you got your fingers here, tip here, distance, too far. You get a lot more control if you're closer up. But if you hold it like that, you're likely to get a little uncomfortable. So, yeah, it's like that is, yeah. So anyhow, I definitely think the Ketz 02, if you're looking for one of these all-in-ones, this is definitely the way to go. So, I'm quite happy to actually use that, so we will use that. Wesley Spares and Repairs. Hello there. I didn't say hello to you. What trace repair kit do you recommend? Also, it's me, Gaming Wolf. What happened? What? Why aren't you Gaming Wolf anymore? Anyhow, so I don't necessarily use a trace repair kit. Basically, what I use is I use some wire. I'm gonna grab some here. Excuse me. This is it here. It's like enameled wire. This is the sort of wire that you would find wrapped around a transformer or an electromagnet. It is enameled, so in other words, it's copper on the inside, but on the outside it has a enamel coating to make it so that it is insulated. And you might sort of think, well, if I'm using wire to do repairs, why do I want it insulated? Well, it's because sometimes when you're doing trace repairs, you might have to run it over top of some other contacts or something, and it means it is actually an insulated wire if you're having to run it past other bits of metal on the board. And when it comes to actually getting rid of the enamel, it actually just burns off with the heat of a soldering iron quite easily. So it's quite easy to use this stuff. Now, I have different thickness of this. This is the 34 American wire gauge, and AWG. I have a thinner one. I think it's a thinner one. This one. This is the 40. So this is the thinnest stuff that I use. This one I use for more modern computer repairs. This I use for more of my vintage computer repairs where the traces are a bit thicker. So really, basically, you're just looking at this. You want flux, you want a soldering iron, you want solder, and that's pretty much. And you need something to be able to see what you're doing very well. So whether that be a microscope or some magnifying goggly things, that sort of thing. TS101 has right left hand. Oh, well, these both have right left hand. So yes, I mean both the TS101 and the Cats both have right left hand option. You just tell it whether you're right or left handed, and it will flip the image accordingly. What am I having tonight? I said to my wife, oh, that's right, I'm going to make homemade pizzas tonight. Okay. All right, so let's have a little look at the instructions we've got. So here's all our components. There's quite a lot here, so this one's a pretty decent sized build by the look of it. Some of the ones that I do in particular, like the last one I did, there weren't that many components on there. They were mainly just buttons. This has actually got quite a few components here. I can see resistors, and I can see capacitors, and I can see light emitting diodes, and is that a inductor, I think? There's a diode. Anyhow, we'll get all to that later. Here is my instructions. Oh, it's in color. How good is that? What is it? Feels like it's backwards. Oh, it's just like a... Alright, so here's a schematic diagram, which of course we will pay no attention to, because we don't have to, because someone's done all that for us. It's just there in case we need it for diagnostic purposes, which I hope we don't, because most of the time when I build things, they just work. Except when I break them while I'm building them. Okay, so this is the probe calibration. One of the things that's always the case with these little cheapies is they come with rubbish probes. Can't be helped. But it does have the process here of calibrating the probe. And, you know, look, for a lot of diagnostics, these are going to be fine. But, you know, it's not really a replacement for a big fancy oscilloscope. But to be honest, I have a big fancy oscilloscope, a 2-channel one, and it was expensive, and I use it very rarely. Now, when I do need to use it, nothing else will do. But for a lot of diagnostics, I think ones like this can actually do the job. Now, I am just going to grab something here if I can. Oh, I've lost it already. I wonder if it's still in my... I wonder if I copied it. Let me have a look. Paste. Yeah, here we go. Hopefully this is a video on... I've just posted into that a video on learning what how an oscilloscope works. So if you're kind of new to oscilloscopes and you're sort of thinking, oh, this is daunting, I don't know how it works, check out that video. It's like less than 15 minutes long, and he explains so much stuff. Some of it is a bit of gobbledygook. G'day, Charlie. Some of it's gobbledygook, and some of it is just very straightforward explanation. One of the things you really need to remember about an oscilloscope is it's virtually like a multimeter, but instead of just showing you the measurement as just a one-off number, it plots out the measurement along a timeline. And so that's where you can then detect if things are waving up and down, or, you know, square waves, curved waves, that sort of thing. Multimeter with a time axis, exactly, Paul. And that's all it really is. So if you're someone who knows how to use a multimeter, it's just a matter of then just learning which knobs to twiddle on the oscilloscope to get the reading you want. The knobs are basically just all about where to take measurements from. They're about zooming in or out on the X or Y axis. So, you know, how far out are we looking? If we've got a wave that's moving like that, does the wave appear like that, or does it appear like that? You zoom in or out on that wave. Okay, so let's have a little look here. We've got some instructions. Step 1, assembly, main board and LCD follow the order as numbered. Now, this is something that in the kits you don't always get. It's nice to have, where they basically tell you what order to do them in. And most of the time, they'll usually have you put the smaller components in first and then add the bulky ones later. Where it becomes really important is when one component might block the way of another component, and that's where it's really important to make sure you do them in order. A lot of kits you can just wing it. You can just go, oh, I'm going to put that, and then I'll put this, and I'll put that. But sometimes you will get kits where, you know, there might be a great big component, and then once you've got that in, you can't get access around it to then put smaller components in. So it is good to often follow the instructions that they give. So I promised that I would use the KETS 02, so I will. So I've got a sneeze coming, so just warning everyone. Okay, we're going to switch this on. I've got this set on, currently set on 350 degrees Celsius. I actually like it to be higher than that, so I'm going to put it on to its highest temp. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. Whoop. It's this long press, short press thing that drives me bananas. Okay, so I'm just going to take that up to 420 because I'm insane. Don't lose the cap. Right, and then here we've got how we, well, that's continuing to build it by the looks there, and then we've got check voltages, attach LCD board, verify, use. That's the part we're looking forward to. And then got various little troubleshooting stuff down here as well. Troubleshooting's a nice thing to have. Okay, so let's start off here. It tells me the first thing I should do is drop in all of the resistors. Now I was right, there are some inductors here, or HF chokes. They were the green ones. They are the ones that will often trick you. If you're new to electronics and you're doing some testing and you go, oh, this resistor here, I'm going to measure it. Oh, it's out of spec, so that resistor is stuffed. It's not a resistor, that is actually an inductor. It's green instead of blue. So there's all my bits. I'm going to put them somewhere where I'm not actually going to lose them while I do all this. So how's that? I did clear a bit of space on my desk, so feeling good about that. Right, now these are all labelled, so it's actually giving me a little box here. I can tick it as a checklist as I go if I can find a pen. Let me just check here. Just use hot glue, no soldering needed. Sure, indeed, why not? Got to work. Happy New Year. Always good to see you. Thank you very much, Ryan Joffrey. Sorry you can't stick around, but I do understand that work does take priority, doesn't it, Davros? People have got to go to work. Any Doctor Who fans in the chat? Because if you're not a Doctor Who fan, you're like, what on earth is that thing you're holding? That's Davros. So, okay, there's a Doctor Who fan. Alright, so resistors. Let's pull all the resistors together so we know what we have, and I'll pop them here for the moment. I'm going to probably flip over to the side view for this. Oh, geez, that's a tiny weeny little resistor, isn't it? Now, we've talked about this before, that you can get surface mount components now, little tiny weeny little resistors that have printing on them, and yet resistors, these old-fashioned through-hole resistors, still have the coloured lines, and it drives me bananas because in my older years, my eye's not very good anymore, and so I can't read these lines to save my life. I might be able to, if I put my goggles on, I might even need my microscope, but I may end up just using my multimeter to measure them because. Okie dokie. Luke F. Okay, we've got another one. Doctor Who. Matt Smith was the best Doctor. Matt Smith was a great Doctor. I'm not sure I'm going to say he was the best Doctor. I will say he's definitely up there in my favourites. I think probably David Tennant, version 1, not version 2. David Tennant was probably my favourite of the modern Doctors. And in the older Doctors, I had to toss up between probably John Pertwee and Tom Baker. During the Tom Baker years, they were making some really good episodes. And look, he was a very good Doctor, but he was also helped by just how good Doctor Who was during that period. Would you like a jelly baby? Yes, indeed. There's the old Tom Baker reference. So it was actually during the Tom Baker years we got our very first look at Davros in the episode Genesis of the Daleks. And what was actually fantastic about it was people who knew Doctor Who, we had seen Daleks since the black and white days. Daleks were one of the very first foes that the Doctor actually came up against. And when we saw Davros, what was fantastic about it was we got to see that, as I say, in the Genesis of the Daleks, we got to see someone who was part person and part Dalek. And that was a really cool thing, a really great part of the story, good storyline. Yeah, so just mentioning that. All right, let's get some resistors. Resistance is futile. Yes, I made the joke about resistors. 100k, R1, R14, R16. Oh wow, I'm going to need my goggles for this. This is very hard to see. Yeah, there's not a lot I don't know about Doctor Who. I did grow up with it, so. Right, most of the components are going on this side. So I've got my little trusty holder here, which does help when you're doing this stuff, because you can spin the board around. It gets a little bit tricky if you need to do any soldering right near the edges. I'll try not to lose any resistors, but if I do, it's not the end of the world, because I do have quite a big collection of resistors up there. Up there. Alright, and let's just make this a more appropriate view. How's that? It's not the best, is it? I'm going to go back to what I had before that. Get rid of that out the way. Oh, that's better. Get rid of that light. It looks way better. Okay. There we go. If you think the picture's too suckful and you'd like me to try and improve it, just let me know. I don't even know what Dr. J is. Don't make references I'm not sure about. Right, let's just grab... Now, we've got one here that we know we should have 3 of. So I'm just going to measure this with my trusty resistance tweezers. And 100k. What are the odds of me actually picking up the right ones first go? I'm pretty pleased with that. So these are 100k goes to R1, R14, R16. One, 14, 16. Now I just have to find those. 1, you can see R2. 1 shouldn't be too far away. 1, there we go. R1. Little bending. 1, 14, 16. Okay. There is 14 up here. And let's see if we can find a 16. We know he's on here somewhere. 16, 16, 16, 16. This isn't a particularly enjoyable part of this because I can't find it, what I'm looking for. Let me just change the camera view here. It's not very good. Try not to break anything as I walk over here. Whoopsie. Okay. Hopefully that's a little bit better. I've got a bit of an obstacle here, making life very difficult for myself. Whew. Okay. Julius Erving, the basketball player. I know nothing about basketball, I'm afraid. 60 years is literally a lifetime for a TV series, indeed. 41 people watching. Yay! Hello, everyone. Odd Lang. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get that right. When Matt was the Doctor, it was the first and only time I've got my wife to see sci-fi. Okie dokie. We're looking for 16. Still looking for 16. But I feel like it's this way. 16, there we go. Yee! Nope. $98K. $100K. Now, of course, I should be looking up the bands, but as I said before, these are tiny resistors, and I really struggle to see them, so... That's a little bit better, I think. I hope it's a little bit better. So, next one we've got, I'll choose all the ones where there's multiples first. So we've got a 120 ohm, we've got 3 of those. So let's have a look at a bundle of 3. Well, what have we got here? We've got 120 ohms. I've done it twice in a row now. Far out. That's incredible. So we've got 8, 12, and 13. 8. 12. 13. The way the screen printing is done on this, it actually makes the positioning of these a little bit tricky. Okay. Nice. Have you ever watched The Sopranos? It's yeah, look, I have never watched The Sopranos. It's probably something I would have got into. I struggled with it a bit because when I very first saw the review, the episode, it had this female actor that I cannot stand. It kind of stopped me from watching it, because it then became such a huge thing. I mean, everyone just raved about it. But yeah, I never actually ended up watching Sopranos. It is a lot of kit for $23. Thank you, China. So the next one is another one with 3, and this is 1K. Now, I've only got one left here with 3, so I'm assuming this is going to be 1K. If it's not, we're in trouble. 1K. Yay! This one is 9, 15, 26. 9, 15, 26. 9, 15, 26. I'm starting to, I might have to solder some of these. 9, 15, 26, is that what I said? 9, 15, 26. 9, 15, 15. I've got so many little leads sticking out at the moment. I think I'll solder these after this one. Oh, man. 9, 15, 26. Hunting for 26. I have to go with this camera here. Even though I have a camera up there, I need to hover my head over this. So if I use that camera, all you're going to do is see my bald head. 26? Where's 26? 36? 38? 40? 26. Right next to 37. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Right, so let's spin this over now, and we'll do a little bit of soldering, as they say. Just giving these pins a bit of a yank. As I've said many times before, I generally try not to bend the pins too much. Some people bend them completely and totally flat. I tend not to do that simply because when it comes to correcting mistakes, if you happen to accidentally put a resistor in the wrong place and you have to then take it out again, it's a lot easier to remove the components if they haven't had the pins bent completely flat. So let's just call it, you know, preparing for me making a mistake. Potential mistake. Yeah, so Paul, I hope they never make a Dr. Woke, but it seems to be going in that direction. Now, there's a very, there's a sort of an interesting thing going on with Doctor Who at the moment, and there are quite a few videos on this subject matter if you're interested. I've forgotten how to solder. And there have been a lot of complaints been made about the fact that the show is now very message driven, and they've admitted that it is very message driven. Now, I don't actually have an objection to someone doing message driven stuff as long as the message isn't everything. There has to be a good story in there as well, and this is actually one of the reasons why I brought Davros here today. Hello, Davros. Hello, Davros. This is one of the reasons why I brought Davros here today, because apparently in one of the more recent episodes they have made him so that he walks around, he doesn't wheel around anymore. And the justification they gave for that was quite specific. They said they did not want negative connotations being made towards people with disabilities. They did not want the idea that people with disabilities are inherently evil. And of course, I object to that in so many different ways, because obviously one of the most important things with anyone with a disability is they want to, I'm not a disabled person, it's very presumptuous of me to just assume what they want, but based on what I have read and heard, that people with a disability, the most important thing they want is just to be able to live as normal a life as possible, just to be able to do the same things that everyone else does. So when you immediately single them out saying, oh no, we don't want to associate disability with evil, or evil with disability, or whatever, I really don't think it's a very logical thing to do. And of course, the whole thing with Davros, it was never really about a disability. It was about the fact that he was part man, part Dalek. That was the kind of whole thing about it. We saw a new side to the Daleks we'd never seen before. We saw a creator that was half Dalek himself already. So anyhow, that was kind of what I was alluding to before. One of the things that I do find a little bit frustrating about that someone has made this decision that, oh, we can't keep having Davros appearing in a wheelie chair because it evokes negative connotations towards people with a disability. And I just think that's nonsense. People may disagree with me. That's my 2 cents. You do not have to agree with my opinions on the matter. Just soldering these resistors at the moment. As usual, when it comes to soldering through-hole components, what you want to do is use the iron to get the wire and the hole nice and hot, and then you poke the solder at it and it will melt onto the components. Don't ever try and melt solder onto your iron and then onto the component. You're just not going to get it to work. You actually want to melt the solder onto what you're soldering. Get the thing hot and melt it on. Let's see if I've managed to get any of these flat. Ah, they're flat enough. Good enough for a rock and roll, eh? Close enough for a rock and roll. Boop, boop, boop. Boopity boop. Boopity boop. Oopsie. Okay. Well, let's go trim some pins. Okay. You know, any good somewhat... Wesley has said, any good somewhat cheap hot air station. I've had some really bad luck with them. So, hot air stations kind of generally fall into 2 categories. Mind you, having said that, I've seen a 3rd category. recently. And the two categories are I do actually have one of each, but I'm not sure where the other one is. One type is where you have the heating element and the fan in the handle. So here is the handle of our hot air station. All right, I'll change views here for a sec. Now this one here, apart from being incredibly dirty, this one here has this great big thick hose here, and inside here is a heating element. And then this hose runs down to the base station. In the base station is a great big fan, and it blows air through this hose past the heating element, and out it comes. Okay, that's fine. You say that's all pretty darn obvious. But what a lot of the cheaper ones do, they have, you'll see there's a bulge here, great big circular bulge at the end of the handle. And that is actually the fan. So that is, what that means is the heating element and fan are all in the handle. And for that reason, the little fan that's in there, they're generally not particularly powerful. So they don't have the same amount of force of air that they can run through them. Now, the one that I use is actually called a WICK 861DW. Now, there is a much cheaper version that's almost identical to this, made by a different brand, but I can't think of the name of it. I wish Jay was here. Jay, what if I say his name 3 times? The House of Moth, the House of Moth, the House of Moth. Does he turn up? I wonder if that works. That's it. Thank you, Paul. That's the A10. I can't remember. Let me see if I can find it. Now, what I would suggest to you is, if you have been having trouble with a hot air station, the best thing to do is to take the step up to that sort that have the fan in the base station. Hot air. Let me just have a look. A10. Actually, there's another one here that's called Multi-Comp Pro. It looks like it's exactly the same. A10. It's ST862D. So A10 862 ST862D. So if you do a search for ATTEN ST-862D and see what turns up, see what prices you can get that for, that is a really good hot air station. I mean, I recommend it quite highly. 761, do you? Davros is here. Davros. Hello, Francois. Welcome to the live stream. So yeah, check that out. Make sure tip is tinned and wet with solder. Wet solder transfers heat, then you can solder. Yeah, I mean, look, I give the tip a little bit of a poke in the little metal thing down here every now and again, but yeah, it definitely helps if you do have a little bit of solder on the end of the iron tip. That's for sure. Search for a live stream not to watch before going to bed late. Yeah, so look, that would be my recommendation. You can go with budget ones. You can definitely go with budget hot air stations. That's what I started with, and they do generally do the job. But you'll find, in particular, if you're using surface mount rework on sort of more modern computers, and a lot of those modern boards, the boards themselves start becoming heat sinks. They actually designed those printed circuit boards to dissipate heat really well. So when you're trying to do surface mount stuff with a hot air station and you've got a board which is kind of just sucking the heat out, it does help to have a really good powerful one. Right, so we've done all of the 3. Now we've got a couple of 2 resistors. We've got 2 470s and 2 10Ks. So let's have a look here. What will this be? The 470 or the 10K? What will it be? Let's have a look. So I'm going to get my trusty little multimeter tweezers, which I've got the thing facing away from me. And we go 470. 470 for the win. Wow, we are. A Dove McSnap manual. That sounds like something you've made up, Steve. Useful for all 2 people out there. I swear, what on earth is a Dove McSnap? I mean, I'm sure it's meant to be pronounced Mac Snap, not McSnap. But I still like McSnap. Can I have a McSnap with fries, please? Right, 470. 470s are in R28, R40. R28, R4T. So this is the hardest part, is finding the spots. R28, R4T, R28, R40. There's R37. Is R40 anywhere near that? I've forgotten already. R27, R40? R28, R40. R28, R40. R28, R40. R28, R40. There's R40. And R28's just there. Whee! Oops, I've gone to the wrong view again, haven't I? Sure. What do you prefer, this view? Oh, actually, this view's okay while I'm sticking the resistors in. It's just when I'm soldering and get my big fat head in the way. Big fat head. Freshly shaven too, by the way. Enzo, hello there. Kai Wheats Cam 601, Smart Digital Multimeter, 10,000 counts, true RMS. You don't need a question mark at the end of that. It's a statement. Try using your new... I am using my new kit soldering iron. I buy my good equipment from Howard Electronic Instruments. They sell their trade show demo equipment at a discount. Hit and miss. Currently only hot air guns. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I saw a hot air station the other day like I've never seen before. It's like it's an all-in-one unit. So if you imagine a hot air station version of this, so it's like you plug it into the mains power, obviously, and the fan and the heater and the whole lot, and the digital display and everything are all on this thing, and it's fat as, and you hold it like this sort of thing, and then it's just got the little tips that you can put on the end there. And I saw it and I thought, that is the wackiest thing I've ever seen, but I'm very tempted to get one so I can try it out. Right, yes, right. Okay, so now we're looking for 10K, so let's see what we've got here. Nope. $10K. Biggity bad. Wickety whack. Hello. Hello, Mega. It's my Australian hello. I mean, I do say hello. I say hello. But of course, as we know, there are some Australians that say, hello. How are you? 10K. R37, R39. I've seen them. There's R39. R37, look at that. It's getting easier now because as we fill them up, there's fewer gaps. Gops. You could actually solder these from this side, you know. Get them flat. So if I were to get my soldering iron here, my trusty soldering iron, and I were to just do a bit of this. Then I know they're flat, and then all I have to do is trim them from the other side. How cool is that? Icy. That's how cool. I have a real hankering for churros at the moment. Unfortunately, the only place that makes decent churros around here is a good 25-minute drive. I can get there by train in about 15 minutes. But you know, when you got a hankering for churros, nothing else will do. I used to use paint resistor color codes on my ring spouters for easy identification. That's cool. I can usually just tell them by eye. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Bought the Kai Wheats iron you reviewed. I hope it doesn't suck. So do I, for your sake. I'm certainly happy with it. Okay, now that's all of the 2 resistors. Now we're just down to singles. Even though one of them here does have a double. I don't know, it's like they've given me a spare for some unknown reason. Unless I missed one. It's always possible. Is it 180? If it's 180, then I missed one. 180. There you go. So they haven't given me spares. That would be too much to hope for, wouldn't it? R7 and R36. R7 and R36. There's 7 and R36. Oh, come on. You go, oh, there's 37. 36 must be right next door. No. No. R36, that's what it said, wasn't it? Yep, I see him. Charlie Seibert, hello there. I hope I'm pronouncing your surname correctly. Hello, lad from Pennsylvania, USA. It's 7:55, I assume in the PM. I bought a Mac Plus in complete non-working order, and I've only worked with new computers, so I've never soldered or dealt with high voltage. Well, no, you're right, Enzo Fitzhume. Churro is very close. I could just go and get a cinnamon donut, but I tell you, the crispiness they get in the ridges of the churro, you just don't get that on a cinnamon donut. Anyhow, that's another story. So, yeah, look, the Mac Plus, one of the good things about the Mac Plus is they're actually notoriously reliable, apart from having a couple of issues, which you can usually sort out fairly easily. The main one is cracked solder joints. I've actually got a Mac Plus analog board just here. It's got a few missing pieces, but should still be able to get the point across. So this is a Mac Plus analog board here, and it has no flyback transformer, you will notice, but that's okay. I think this might even be a US one, actually. I'm pretty sure this is a US power supply, not an Australian one or international one. It's one of the ones that runs on 110. But anyhow, a lot of these are particularly around these connectors. This connector here, this connector here, the flyback transformer. Any of these, there's a connector there, any of these bulky sort of things on this side of the board, you end up getting cracks in the solder joints on this side of the board. So you pretty much, if you go to all of these connectors and you remove the existing solder, with some solder wick or a solder sucker or something like that, do them one at a time so that the component doesn't, do them alternating pins so the component doesn't fall out. So if you take the solder away from that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, and then you resolder them and then do the other ones, so the odds and evens sort of thing. And you remove the solder from these and then you replace it with fresh solder, you're going to solve probably 90% of the problems that these computers have. Most of them stem from cracked solder joints here. Some of the other problems you might encounter are your RAM sims might need to be reseated, or indeed the RAM could have potentially have gone bad in time, but that's not a common problem, but it is fairly common with those that you might want to take the RAM sims out, clean the pins they go in, and then put them in and give them a wiggle and sort of reseat the RAM. The floppy drives, of course, they do need to be serviced. That's just take that as read. And sometimes this capacitor here runs into a bit of strife, so you might end up needing to replace that one. Another thing that these do sometimes have wrong with them, these resistors down here can sometimes end up failing, so always a good idea to check all of these resistors down here. All these ones along here, check and make sure that they're still reading as per spec. And then obviously if you're looking for anything about the components on these, if you search for, someone please remind me what that book is that's online. It's not Macintosh Repair and Upgrade Secrets, it's, oh it is, I think it's Macintosh, no. Is it Macintosh Repair and Upgrade by Larry Penner or something like that? Anyhow, in the back of that book is a list of every single component on the Mac Plus. So, Dead Mac Scrolls, that's another one. Is it Dead Mac? The Dead Mac Scrolls, yeah, Dead Mac Scrolls. That's the blue or purpley one on the cover, isn't it? Yep. Not Book of Mormons. No, not that one. We won't bring Joseph Smith into this. Been using the dead Mac scrolls mostly, yep. So, picture had a bunch of horizontal lines and elongated look, but curiously I got no bong, then it died with a flop flop. Flop flop. This is actually one of the downsides with that book. Apple's Anonymous, hello there. This is one of the downsides with that book is designed primarily with failures at that time in mind. It's already started, Jay. Goodness me. He's not here. I am just going to send Jay from the House of Moth a message. He did hear me when I called his name 3 times. Started an hour ago, you dork. Thank you, Steve, for replying to Jay. All right, let's get moving with these resistors. Otherwise, we'll never get this thing finished. Okay. Yeah, so the book often talks about problems that were happening at the time, and there are a whole new set of problems coming to these old computers now. All right, let's just pick up a random one, and we'll just test it, and we'll see what size it is. This one, oh, I keep getting those around the wrong way. This one is, what? It's not a capacitor. I think I've ended up with this on, come on. There we go. No. Stop it. This is a smart multimeter. It's not very smart though. No, signal generator. Oh wow, this has got a signal generator in it. That could be good for testing this later on. I don't want the signal generator. Calibration, no. Measure, here we go. Resistance, there you go. This one is saying 160k, or it's rising, 170k, 180k. $100k. I think it's 100k. All right, let's see if we've got 100k here somewhere. I already had 100k. We already put 100k's on. Okay, you go to one side because you're confusing me. Right, this one. 20k. Do we have a 20k? We do have a 20k at R5. R5, R3, R5, yay! As Kermit the Frog would say, yay! Okay, just test that. 20k. Let's grab another one. 1M. Things that make you go, I apparently don't have a 1M. Got a 1.8M and got a 2M. So we'll put that aside as well. We'll put that in the confused pile. Was that the confused pile as well? 1.5k. Yes, I've got a 1.5k. And that is at R38. R38. One more little checkaroonie. $1.5k. Cool. What do we got here? It says one. Sort of 160k, 200k. What? Oh, you're just messing with me now. I think that's 2M, maybe? It was going through my hand. That's not helping. When it's the very, very high resistance like this, it was actually starting to measure through my hand. 1.9. So I think that's the 2M. So we had a 2M, and that was in R4. R2, R1, R5. Come on, you know R4 must be near there. R6. They're just far enough away from where they should be to really confuse me. R2, R3, R4. Boom. Let's just do that. Another test there. 1.9 M. Yep. Working on oscilloscope indeed. Hello, sad Mac 356. How do you size MOVs metal oxide resistors for load and operating voltage? I don't. I get someone else to do that. I am not smart enough for any of that sort of codswallop. That's for smart people. 200K. We have a 200K at R3. Yep, 200K. What's this one? 150 ohms. That's at R11. Burning through this now. $3K? Do I have a 3K here? Yes, I do. R10. Okay, now I sort of feel like I should have more resistors. Still got a few gaps. So this one was 1.8 M. 1.82 M. Oh yeah, 1.8 M, there we go, R2. So I still have a gap here, and I might be missing a resistor. I've got a gap at R6. 300 ohms. So there is a 300 ohm resistor floating around here somewhere. I will hunt for that in a minute. I may have lost it. It may have ended up on the ground, but we can worry about that later. We'll get these soldered in first. So let's grab our trusty Ketz 02. Getting quite toasty now because this has been warm. You can actually feel the heat right through there, but it's not uncomfortable. And to be honest, my Hacko gets pretty darn warm too. Okay, so I'm soldering it from this side, and I'm mainly doing it just for ease. By soldering it from this side, it saves me from having to flip it over and bend the pins. I just have them laying flat here. Soldering, soldering, soldering. As I've said many times in my live streams before, when it comes to building something, when building a kit, I always love to build a kit that does something afterwards. You know, when I was younger, you'd have these kits that, you know, they'd make a cricket noise or something like that, you know. Where they flash some lights or something. But, you know, I remember one of the first kits that I built that was of practical use was like an amplifier. Oh, and one of those FM radio transmitters, I did one of those as well, one where you could tune your radio to a particular station or whatever, and you could use this little thing like, you could use your radio like a loudspeaker. I made a little kit of one of those. Again, they're just sort of, you know, they're fun. Whether it's worth starting a YouTube channel, however, the bar for view count to make financial sense is a bit high to justify. What's your thoughts? Okay, so what I want to say, Obsidian Xenon, g'day and welcome. What I would like to say is you have to think very carefully about starting a YouTube channel. First of all, the most important thing, it has to be something you enjoy doing. If you're looking to it as a means for financial gain, I would say, okay, that's maybe not something nice that might happen in the future, but don't count on it. I have 52,000 subscribers. I have from this YouTube channel a series of income streams. They relate from obviously advertising on the YouTubes, the Google advertising, and also from sponsorships from companies, manufacturers that want their products in my videos, and also from affiliate links, so things that I might recommend and then people then buy, and then I might get a small percentage. It makes no difference to the sale price, it just means that I get a little bit. And so you have all of these. Oh, and then you've also got things like Patreon and stuff like that, and then sometimes people just give donations. It is, at 52,000 subscribers, it is nowhere near enough for me to have as a single source of income. It's nice to have an extra source of income, but it's nowhere near it to be a sole source of income. Not even close. It's, you know, it's a nice bonus, and obviously the money that I can get I can then reinvest back into the channel, you know, buy things for it, you know, stuff for doing the repairs or whatever. But you have to enjoy it, because if you're getting into it just to make money, it's a very, very long, hard slog. And the other really important thing is you have to ask yourself, what is my point of difference? What am I going to do that's going to bring viewers to me that isn't bringing them to something else? Am I providing something completely new, or am I providing a better version of something that's already out there? And if it is a better version, is it really a better version? You know, try and get some information from someone else. I actually enjoy doing these live streams, so any money that I make from them is kind of a bonus. I probably enjoy doing the pre-recorded videos more than the live streams, but the live streams are a lot quicker and easier to get out in terms of releasing regular content. But the pre-recorded videos I love doing, because there is a whole production process involved in that. There is script writing, there is you know, videography, there's audio, there's you know, sort of editing and post-production, illustration, animation, you know, you name it. There are all these skills, and a lot of these things are things that I've been doing for many years. I used to do videography in my last job. Used to do just little corporate videos and stuff like that, and editing, and 3D graphics. I've been doing that for a donkey's years. So a lot of these things are skills that I've picked up over time, and then when it came time to actually doing a YouTube video, it's like, well, I've got all of this equipment already had microphones, already had cameras, you already had lighting, that sort of stuff, and then I've just, you know, grown on it. I've bought extra stuff. I bought a new camera recently, but yeah, I'd say the big question is, first of all, is it something you think you're going to enjoy doing? But second of all, Bruce and I would make more at a fast food joint rather than live streaming. That is very true. But yeah, you've got to say, are you going to get enjoyment from doing it? But then the other thing is, do you think people are going to want to watch what you're doing? And that's, I don't mean that in an insulting way. It's a question anyone has to ask themselves. You know, I mean, are people going to watch it? You know, it's very hard to say. I know of a person. I won't talk about who this person is, but I know of a person who was motivated by gamers who do live streams on themselves playing games, and this person was motivated by that and decided to do their own. And of course, they were just so sure that their personality would just cut through and that people would watch them because they'd be so entertained. And of course, this person, they just didn't end up getting the views, and they very quickly became despondent and sort of stopped doing it. And look, maybe they needed to stick with it, whatever, but it's just, sometimes it's a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a rude awakening if someone says, you know, I'm going to do this stuff and people are going to love it, and then no one watches it. It can be very disheartening. But anyhow, if you're enjoying it and you're doing it for yourself, for me, it's always been about sharing information, whatever information I happen to have up here. I, sort of, as I said, I've worked in lots of different sort of skilled jobs throughout my time. So if I've got some information that I think I could share with someone, I'll share it. That's what I like to do. DIY channel that's color coded for difficulty. That's a cool idea. I like that. Jack68K says, I am incredibly appreciative of people like Bruce and Steve putting so much information out there for others of us to learn from. I know they're primarily doing it for their own enjoyment. Yep. So, Bruce, I just used your pre-recorded Macintosh portable video to figure out how the heck to disassemble my new toy without breaking it. Cool. Yeah, I mean, one of the very first videos that I did for my channel, if you go back a very, very long way, it's got to be 10 years or something, I did a video of dismantling a Macintosh Plus. I got hold of a Macintosh Plus. I'm incredibly nostalgic towards the Mac Plus. I love the Mac Plus. It's one of my favorite Macs. You know, when I switch on a Mac Plus, the sound, the smell, everything, they're wonderful computers. And I got hold of a Mac Plus for quite cheap, and so I decided to do a video on it. So I just set up the camera, dismantled it, talked a little bit about it, talked about the computer. Most of it was just coming off the top of my head, and it got lots of views. I mean, like, way more views than I ever expected, to the point that when it came time to monetize, because if you're wanting to monetize a channel, you have to have a certain amount of view hours, and you have to have a certain amount of subscribers, and I think there might be, and you've got to have a Google account, you know, what is it, AdSense, I think it's AdSense, Google AdSense account that you can link up. So I already had a Google AdSense account because I already had a website with advertising on it. So that was all done. I needed the subscribers, obviously, at the point that I decided I wanted to go serious with the channel, and that was just before I met the guys from MacYak. It was because of a video that I made that I got noticed by the MacYak guys. I had basically made a decision I was going to start putting a lot more resources into the channel, try and make better quality content, more content, you know, that sort of thing. And I made a video on discharging the CRT of a compact Mac, and it got noticed, you know, and then I got invited to be on the MacYak show. And so that was the kind of turning point. So at the point you actually see me appearing on MacYak, that was the turning point. And then the MacYak guys, of course, then encouraged me to do live streams. I had never done a live stream prior to that. So the you know, sort of the Mac Plus video that I did had got me so many view hours that when it came to monetize, once I got my 1,000 subscribers, I didn't need to build up view hours. I already had them from the Mac Plus video. So that was a really nice bonus, that I had this video there that had built up a whole stack of view hours, and then all I had to do was just get the subscriber numbers up to 1,000, and then I was there. We thought you looked handsome, so we asked you to join. Well, okay, fair enough. It was funny. I actually remember getting the email. I got the email from Jay from the House of Moth, and I had seen the advertisements, and I think on Low End Mac for the show, I'd seen them pop up, you know, come and join us tonight, sort of thing. But I'd never watched it. But then when I got invited, I did actually go and watch one. Now, what I was saying before is I am missing a 300 ohm resistor. Now, it's probably just here, and I just didn't find it, but I'm going to hunt for it, and if I don't find it, it's either on the floor, or it wasn't included. But I'm sure I've got a 300 ohm here anyway, somewhere. I'll go look in a minute. It'll be a big fat resistor. I won't be a little skinny one like these ones, but... Oh, a bird just landed. A very heavy bird just landed on the roof of the shed. So it's probably down here somewhere. Maybe. Let's just get a little... did I not bring my phone down with me? So I've got no flashlight. I've got no torch. Alright. Let's see if I've got a 300 up in the thingy up here. Up there. Little did you know the ultimate time suck MacYak would be for you. Yes, indeed. What streaming equipment are you using these days as for cameras, mics, etc.? I will tell you that as soon as I come back with a 300 ohm resistor. assuming I have a 300 ohm resistor. We won't just automatically assume that. 470. There's a 470. 130. Oh, nothing in the 300. Son of a gun. What can I do about that? I don't even have 150s to do. I've got a 330. Do you reckon that'd work? Allowing for certain tolerances. I might have a surface mount one. I can probably do a surface mount one. We'll see. 330. Oh, what? They're empty. 330 is clearly one I've used many times before for something, because I can see I've pulled the 330s out and they're empty. Son of a gun. Kind of idiot, am I? Got a 270. Okay. Completed scan of the Dove RAM Snap manual from 1988. So it's not a Mac Snap, it's a RAM Snap. Snap rack. Led to Steve, led to Maciek, led to Bruce, and on and on. We appreciate you guys. My old Macs would probably be battery bombed rotting in the attic. Oh, that's good. Good to hear that they're not battery bombed in the attic. Yes, look, one of the fun things about doing this sort of live streaming lark is I've got to meet some wonderful people throughout this. You know, people like, you know, obviously the Maciek gang, all of them, and people like Sean from Action Retro, who is he's just a wonderfully entertaining person. Just really enjoy his company. And Dan Hewen from Canadian Computer Collector. That guy has me in stitches. I think I intimidate him sometimes. It's not my intention to do so. Right, so what we've figured out is I have got a 330 ohm, which is not 300. I have got, and I've lost it already, by the way. I did bring it back, so it's here somewhere, but I did grab a 330 ohm and I put it somewhere, but I'm just not sure where. Let's have a look in the bag. Is it still in the bag? No, not still in the bag. Oh, here it is. Found it. It's stuck inside. It's stuck inside the USB port. There we go. Everything is fine. I'm fine now. How are you? Oh, geez. There's only. Look. I mean, I'm not going to try and say that one person is more of a. There's 300 ohms. One person is more of a fan of the image writer than another, but I have never met anyone as bigger image writer fan nut as Steve. Seriously, I mean, if there is an image writer going for free or super cheap, Steve just seems to grab it and add it to the pile. Obviously, the more desirable ones are things like the LQ, the really big one, or, I mean, do the image writer ones still work? What's the failure like on those? I know that the very first printer we got, when we got an Apple IIe, so just very quick history lesson here with my computer. So the very first computer that I got at home was a thing called a VZ200. Which was like it was a rebranding of the Laser 200, and I got that with a little printer plotter. So that was one that had like 4 little coloured pens: black, red, blue, and green, I think. And it was a plotter. It actually, you know, sort of you drew lines and stuff like that, and that was great because I learned a lot about that sort of drawing and programming. So I had that, but it only printed on little paper about that wide, so you'd have to sort of print things in galleys. And then the next computer that we got at our house was an Apple IIe, and with that we got an Image Writer 1, and then later on we got a Macintosh Classic and we got an Image Writer 2 with that, and then we upgraded that Classic to an 030 with a Warp 030 expansion. I wish I had all of these things still, but I don't. But Steve wins. Um, there's an envelope attachment for the LQ that's on eBay for only $30, but I already have one. I remember having a document feeder for the Image Writer 2 that we had. It was like a vertical, because you could have the normal one that just did the perforated paper, but then you had this thing you could clip over the top, so you could put like a sheet feed type thing. That was a game changer. That was really good. That turned that into a much more usable printer for our household. And then, of course, the next thing we got was probably a laser printer. I think might have ended up getting a... Oh, I got a laser on a 2NT, or was it a 2F or a 2G or something like that. So when the company that I worked for got a new printer, the old one was being decommissioned, and I asked if I could have it. And my boss said, you can have it in return for a bottle of Grange. Now, that might mean nothing to you guys, but in Australia, there is a winemaker called Penfolds, and they make a wine that is only ever made from the one set of grapes. It's not made as a blend. It is only made when it's good enough to bottle. So if they have a bad year, they won't make it. And it's a product called Penfolds Grange, and it is one of the most expensive wines that you can buy out here. If you do a search for Penfolds Grange price, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, back then, I was able to pick up a bottle from a not spectacular year. Can't remember what the year was, but a not spectacular year. And I paid, I think, about $250 for it. I think it was around about that sort of money. And we would have been talking about the 90s here. I'd say early 90s, early to mid 90s. And I gave him the bottle of Grange, and he gave me the laser printer. So I got that laser printer for about a couple of $100. So, and that was awesome. I loved having that printer. That was just the bomb. Going from someone who had only ever been dot matrix printer to then suddenly having a laser printer in your house, a postscript laser printer. Wow, life changing. Okay, now we've got our HF chokes. We've got 3 of these. These are 100 micro Harrises. I can't remember what the things. What are they? What's the H for? What's the H for on inductors? I can't remember what the unit is. I have known it. It's gone into my head at some stage, but it's fallen out again. So L1, L2, and L3. Here's L1. Someone here will remember. Someone here will have the smart to remember what Henry. There we go. I knew it was someone's name. Okay, so this is 100 microhenries. There you go. Do. I can't find the next one. L1. Hang on, it was L1, L3, L4. What happened to L2? What did L2 do wrong? It's got to be here. It's got to be... There it is. Found it. Staring at me in the face. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for joining. I do accept that in life we do have to sometimes spend time with our better halves. I know that certainly that's the case for me in the evening. I always spend time with my wife. That's why I stream at this time. I'm going to switch on my fume extractor because I'm feeling like I'm starting to get a bit of fumey, smoky stuff up my schnoz. There we go. God, this fume extractor's dirty. It's one of the downsides to actually having your workshop in a shed. Don't forget to smash that like button. I haven't done one of those in a while. Shall we do one? We'll do one. You ready, steady, and...
Smash that like button.
I hope that wasn't too loud. Incredibly small Henry. Okay, so I'm really going to try and step up the speed on this thing, otherwise we will not get this built today. And we do want to get this built today. So, this is me putting the Henrys on the board. This is our little inductors. They are basically pretty much always labelled on boards with an L And even though they look like resistors, if they are green, typically they are going to be an inductor. So then the next thing we need to do is a diode. Now there's there's 2 diodes, so we've got 2 here. Now this one is microdiodular servo systems. There we go, that's from a TV show. IN5819. IN5819. Oh, that is small. IN5819. IN5819. I found the 5819. That is D1. D1, and it's a diode. These have a cathode and an anode, and the cathode is marked with a line, and so we need to make the line match up with the line on the board. Very important when you're building kits. The resistors and the inductors, they can go either way around, not important, non-polar, but these have to go the right way. So D1, here's D1, found it right there, and there's a little line marked out on the screen print, so I just plonk that on there, and we're good to go. Oh, what's too loud? Oh, my smash that like button was too loud. Was that too loud? Was that it? Yeah, sorry about that. I'll warn people next time. Say, hey, I do actually have the option to drop the voltage, the what do you call it? The sound on it, the volume, but I have to do it really quick because the video plays so fast. Okay, IN4004. Yep, that's it. And that goes into D2. D2, there we go. Buenos noches. My Spanish is terrible, so don't expect me to engage in large amounts of Spanish discussion. But hello and welcome, EDTSOF. So just to anyone who might be joining sort of recently, this is a DIY kit, a little soldering kit, which of course I love doing, and it is a digital oscilloscope, and we're going to build it and we're going to see if it is something which can actually be used practically. Next thing we have is a crystal oscillator. There it is here. Y1, 8 megahertz. I can see a little 8 written on that there, so I know that this is an 8 megahertz. This can also go either way around. Y1, is that what it was? Y1, yep. Ba-bam. Ta-da. Smash that like button. So I can just do it without all the fancy effects and stuff. Right, there's our crystal. We're burning through it now. Now we've got a little USB port to put on here. And I love soldering on USB ports. Don't ask me why, but I just enjoy it. There we go. Just sort of, I don't know, it just feels good. It feels good sticking USB ports on. Now, because of the way this is, I am probably going to solder it from this side just to hold it in position, and then I'll do the pins on the other side. So we've got 4 big pins on the side here that are just anchors. They're not actually, I mean, they're ground, but they're just anchors to hold the thing in position. And I'll solder probably a couple of those from this side, and then I'll do the rest of the soldering from the other side. It's just so that I can get this into the position I want to get it into. So let's get some solder. Everything that I use in this live stream, there are links in the description to the equipment that I use here. If anyone has any interest or wants to buy the same stuff, there are links in the description for pretty much everything. If it's not in there, let me know and I'll add it. Crooked. It's better. Okay, so I've just done one. That'll hold it in position. Now I can do the rest of the soldering from this side. So these ones here, these little anchors, we want to make sure there's plenty of solder on those, because they're going to help to actually make it so that this is held down really well on the board. With these 4 soldered through hole pins, this thing will be as safe as houses. It would take a hell of a job to try and tear that off. It's a lot easier to tear off a surface mount sort of connector or socket, but a through hole one like this, you'll be able to hang off it. I'm still hungry for churros, by the way. Ever think of coming US side to attend one of the VCF shows? Look, I have thought many times of going to the US, and I do intend to go there. One of the problems I have is that I have family there. So if I go to the US, I really do need to go and visit the family, and it all depends on geography. So I've got the Maciat guys, which I really love to meet. They're all on the East Coast. My family is on the West Coast. So, yeah, one day I will get there. I don't know if it will coincide with one of the events, but I will definitely get there one day. Assuming, of course, something horrible doesn't happen to me in the meantime. Tact switches. So, we've got a few tact switches. See if I can find them. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. We know it's, once you start counting, you have to always finish it with a Oh, there should be a 4th one. There it is, 4th one. Okay. Now these need to go in this way. And the way these little legs are, they kind of got a little lumpy bit that juts out, so that actually helps hold these in. Once you get them in the hole, they ain't going anywhere. Like that. Hardly ever need to solder that one. Legs in the hole. In the hole. Because one of the other complications that I have when it comes to travelling is that, well, several complications. One, I have pets. I have 4 cats and 5 chickens. That, of course, makes it difficult from who looks after them while I'm away. Then the other thing is I am self-employed, which means I don't get any holiday pay. If I stop working, I stop getting paid. So taking time off for me is a fairly significant cost, because it's not just the cost of the holiday, it's the cost of the loss of income while I'm working, or while I'm on holiday, not working. One day though, one day, keep buying that lottery ticket. Right, that's all me buttons. Boutons. Let's get those soldered in. 5, I had 6, yes, one of them died. Which was rather sad, because it was a very pretty one too. It was a Wyandotte, which is the type of chicken that have this beautiful black and gold feathers, plumage, beautiful plumage. Black one, the blind one's fine. The blind one's still going strong. That one is the. Let me see if we can just jump across to the chickens very quickly. We can have a look at them. There's one which is sort of like a tan colour. It's a big chicken too. It's a real unit. And that one's blind. And it's always been blind as long as I've had it. And yeah, no, the one that died was, yeah, it wasn't a blind one. It was a very interesting looking chicken. It was very sad when they die. But one of the things with chickens is they look sick and then they're dead. You know, you don't really get much warning. Oh, my auto dropped again. Did it? I was sure I sorted that out. Just let me check. There we go. I forgot that I have actually got two separate chicken scenes in OBS, Open Broadcaster. Someone did ask me what I was using for my live streams, and I didn't answer that. That was terrible of me. Should have answered that. I don't know if anyone still wants to know about the equipment that I use for my live streaming. If you do want to know, just sing out in the chat. If you have zero interest, I won't bore you. So, okay, so can't see any of the chickens here. Sorry about that. They're around, but we just can't see them. What are you using for live streams? Okay, so on this particular, so starts off with a computer. You need a computer to drive it. I'm using an M1 Mac Mini. It's the lowest spec one. It's only got 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it's perfectly ample for what I'm doing here. So then I have 4 cameras connected to this. I've got the camera which is in the microscope. You can see it moving there. That is a specifically designed microscope camera bought from Amscope. And then I have the camera that is pointing at my face. That is just a Logitech C922 webcam. Fine. This one up here, up the top, that one there is a Canon I can't remember what it is. It's quite an old one. It's a 1080p digital video camera, but it's just it's kind of a little handheld one. It's not particularly flash, and then I've just got the HDMI running down into an HDMI to USB connector. Now that doesn't give you the best picture, unfortunately, and it is my plan when I have some more money to replace this with another C922 Logitech webcam, but I'll have it set up on a big springy thing that I can move around and just position wherever I want. Then over here, at the moment, it's actually my really flash camera, but it's normally the camera I have there is, if I can just grab it. Normally the camera I have there is this one. Let's just change the view. This camera here, it's a Panasonic high def video camera. This one is the main one that I used to use for all my filming until I recently replaced it with a Canon. And this one of the good things about it has XLR audio inputs. And it does. One of the great things this camera does is that you could actually synchronize the frame rate so that it synchronizes with CRT screens. So I've got a CRT screen with the flickering. I can synchronize this frame rate to match, so that I then get a nice smooth picture. So that's really, really handy doing this vintage stuff that I do. So I still use this camera for that because my new one doesn't do that. And this is what I have set up there, and I just use the HDMI signal, HDMI into USB for that. And then in terms of software, I use OBS, Open Broadcaster. I used to use something else called Ecamm Live, but I just found it too expensive. So yeah, that's that. Use old soldering iron seems to be pretty good. Yes, it does indeed. Right, now let's have a look at ceramic capacitors. There's a whole ton of these. So we've got 0.1 microfarad. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those. That'll be these ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There we go. So the code on them is 104. And what the 104 means, 10, and the 4 then means follow it with another 4 zeros. So that would make it 100,000 picofarads. which then becomes 0.1 microfarad. It translates into 0.1 microfarad. So that's what the code is. Now these one goes into C1, C9. Just going to tear all this off. Can I tear all this off? There we go. So let's go to C1. Got to go through all this crap of finding things again. C1. These capacitors are not polarized, so they can go in either way around. These ceramic capacitors, the same with surface mount ceramic capacitors. C20. C1, yay! Okay, there's a C1. C9 is right next to it. That makes life easy. No, it's not. C5 is right next to it. So now we've got to find C9. This is the slowest part. I want to apologize to everyone watching about having to sit here and wait for me to try and find the location of C9. There it is. With older equipment getting on the market, is second-hand a good option? It depends on the equipment, Paul. Are you talking about like oscilloscopes? I mean, depending on, I mean, if you're looking at, say, my oscilloscope, let's just say I bought a new one. I'm not gonna, but let's say I bought a new one and I sold that one. It's barely used. The sort of work that I do, I use the scope once in a blue moon. It's very important when you do need it, but I don't need it very often. C10, 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 C10. It says C12, C18, C10. Yay! Oh god, I get excited when I find it. C10, C11, right next to it. Yay! C14, C15. There's 15. Where's C14? We'll find you. There's C14. C14, 15, 16, 17. $16, 17, 18, 20, 20. Hey? Oh, yeah. 20. 13. 20. C20. And last one, C23. Let this be one that I find quickly, please. Hey, there we go. Right, are these all going to stay in if I flip it over? Oh, that one's a bit wobbly. And that one's a bit wobbly. Most of them seem pretty good. Okay, cameras. Cameras. Where's my mouse gone? There it is. Cameras say second-hand Canon D100. Yeah, look, I mean, I actually think going with a second-hand camera is a great way to go. The reason why I bought a new camera is I wanted one that did 4K. And I'm still quite thingy about going down the path of actually having a video camera as opposed to just a digital SLR. I think you get a lot of features with a video camera as opposed to a digital SLR that does video. I think you get a lot of features in an actual video camera that you don't in a digital SLR. I got one, mine's an XA50, it's a Canon XA50, so I don't know if you have any interest, you can look up Canon XA50. And it's probably the lower end of their professional cameras. And there's a lot I like about it. It's got the ability to record on 2 SD cards at once. You can either set it up so that you can, if you've got, as soon as one SD card fills up, it'll go to the next one, or you can get it to record on both cards simultaneously, so that if you have a failure on one card, you've got it recorded on the second card. So I have two 128 gig cards inside this one, so, and that gives me the ability to record, I don't know, in standard def I can record probably something like 8 hours of footage and maybe more. And then I've got all of my mics. I've got, you know, quite a lot of professional microphones here that I can then just connect to that via XLR. And what it has a really nice feature that you can actually, if you're using a mono microphone just for a voice, I can actually record that mono microphone at 2 separate levels, one in the left channel, one in the right channel. So I can actually set one slightly louder than the other one, so that when I get it back, if the quiet one's too quiet, I can use the loud one. If the loud one's clipping, I can use the quiet one. So I get to choose which of the 2 channels I want. I just have the input levels slightly offset. And I've got a, what do you call it, a teleprompter, which is basically just a 2-way mirror sort of thing with a mount that you stick your camera on, and then you can stick an iPad in it, and then you just use some software. I've got some software called teleprompter. And I can remote control that with my phone, so that I can actually look right down the barrel of the camera and read scripts, because I can't remember stuff. My memory is terrible, so if I write a script, if I don't use a teleprompter, I'm stuffed. If I was relying on my memory, you know, I mean, it would take me days to record something. And a lot of this stuff that I have bought budget-wise. Sure, the camera is an expensive one, but a lot of the equipment that I use, for instance, things like tripods, I buy a lot of the sort of cheaper Chinese knockoffs rather than the genuine brands, and they have done incredibly well for me. The tripod that I use for my video camera, because video cameras, you generally use a slightly different type of tripod to a still camera, because they normally have like a clutch and they have like smooth movement, so that if you want to you know, when you want to move the camera around, they have nice smooth action. But yeah, the tripod that I bought, which is a fraction of the cost of some of the big name brands, it's been brilliant. And same with the lights, mind you. I'm in the market for some new lights. I've been looking into some. The lights that I've got, the globes they use, just have an incredibly high failure rate. So I would rather go with one that's just like an LED array. They weren't around when I bought these lights, but they're everywhere now. Using Flux Core solder, I absolutely am. The brand of solder that I use, there is actually a link in the description. It's Kester brand, and it is a flux core, and I will always use a flux core solder. It's probably not necessary if you're doing surface mount soldering, because you're likely to be using a liquid solder or a gel solder while you're doing that. But if you're doing through-hole stuff like this, where I'm actually relying on the flux in the core of the solder to do its work while I'm doing soldering, so for this stuff, definitely a flux core solder. In my beginner's guide to soldering video that I did, I actually cut open a little piece of solder to show what the flux core looks like inside. It's Rosen, Dr. Rosen. Right, now let's move on to some more capacitors. We have, what have we got? Let's just pick one up here and we'll see the number on it, and we'll 22. What do you reckon that's going to be? You reckon that might be 22 picofarad? I think it might be a 22 picofarad. So there's 2 of those. Nope. Yeah, it's 6337 that I'm using here. 63, so it's, what is it, 63 tin 37 lead, something like that. using that Stereo HTTF, and I like it. Yeah, I have used that a little bit. I'll be honest, I found with a lot of those solders that they're very, very similar for what I am doing. I probably need to put them through some more rigorous tests to get more of an idea of which one is the best at this and the best at that. C12, C13, C12, C13, C12, C13, here we are. Here are two little 22 picofarad. Okay. Looked at your solder video 3 times. Well, thank you very much for that. That is the video that I have that has... It gets the most views out of any of my videos and has had the most views. I can't remember what the number is now, but it's like... I mean, it's well over 1 million, which is quite extraordinary. I still find that pretty amazing. To some extent, I wish I could do it again these days, because I mean, I often get people leaving comments going, "Oh, you didn't mention this and you didn't mention that," and I've sort of been like, "Yeah, I know I didn't. I did that video quite a few years ago, and I have mentioned what you're talking about in some of my follow-up videos." But I sort of feel like it would be good to be able to redo that. But it doesn't work that way with YouTube. You can't replace a video. You create a new one. And if I create a new one, it's probably likely to not get watched. People just keep watching the old one. Tom Armstrong, hello there. The House of Moth is here. Jay, I called your name 3 times before and I thought you would magically appear, but you didn't. But that's okay. So I'm assuming Jay has been very, very busy. I'm sure he has a very good reason for not being at the first 2 hours of this live stream video. But Jay gets a lot of leeway because he does come up with all of my good ideas. Okay, what do we got next? Let's grab one of these. This one says 121. So does that mean 120 picofarad? Yes, it does. So we have 2 of those. No. 121. There we go. So that is 120 picofarad. That's C7 and C8. Let's get in there. This is taking me a really long time. I just want to let everyone know that. C7. And C8. And we just have to find C8 on the board somewhere amongst all the other crap. There it is. Jay doesn't bribe me to stream, he just bothers me to stream. He just constantly sends messages. He goes, "What time you streaming?" But as most of the time he asks me like when it's in the middle of my work day or something like that, you know, it's like, you know, like for instance, it's Saturday today, but if you were to ask me to stream at this time on a weekday, I would be able to say, no, I can't. I've got work to do. I had a very, very productive week this week, actually. Got a lot done. Feeling good about that. Oh, God, this one's sticking up a bit high. A little bit proud. Down you go. There we go. Okay. I had that one way too high. It obviously fell through while I was soldering it. This keyboard hates me. I've had keyboards that hate me. Been here a while, but had a cat on me, couldn't type. Yes, this happens. It's you know, it does happen. So, what are your thoughts, Jay? I mean, how's this one? You're going to give me a ranking out of 10 for this live stream compared to my other ones? Jay's a harsh critic, I'm telling you. Now, this one here has a 1 written on it. 1 picofarad, C5. I have never, ever worked with a 1 picofarad before. C5. That is the very first time I have picked up a capacitor with just one on it. Well, first time I remember. Do you think it'd be difficult to find a working power supply to a Power Mac 7500? I think I just blew it up. Oh, jeez, I blew up a power supply for a Mac recently. Now, which one's a 7500? Please remind me. Is that one of the tower type ones, like in the same style, or is it one of the desktop units? I'd probably have to look it up and check. Because I know that some of those power supplies are actually into 7500. 7500 is the desktop, isn't it? It's the same form factor as the 7300, 7600, 7500. 7500 from memory is the slowest of them. Isn't that just, what do the numbers mean? It's like, I think in terms of the power, it's like 75, then 76, then 73. I think 73 is the most powerful. I'm not sure. 75, 73, 72, 76. Yeah. So they've all got interchangeable power supplies. It's, oh no, that's not true. That is not true. Some of them have interchangeable power supplies. So you can probably find one. Eric, hello there. Welcome. Alright, so we're working our way through all these little capacitors that I've got to put in. This one here, what's the number on that one? Oh god, the number's gone. I should be able to measure this with my little TWEEZERS here. Oh, I've got one of them stuck to the tweezers. This one says 331, so that's 330 picofarads. And that is C2, so let's get this little guy in his spot. C2's got to be here somewhere. Right up there it is, C2. And this one here with no markings on it, I'm going to see if I can measure it. Ah. It has a smart mode, but it's not in smart mode. I'll have to put it... There we go, capacitor. 3.3 picofarad. And that... Well, this is a 3 picofarad, so that is C3. Oh, 7200s were the non-upgradable ones. 75, 73, 76 had a PDS slot. Yeah. So I've got 3 7600s. Don't ask me how I ended up with 3 7600s. Only one of them works, but that's okay. It works well. It's the one I use for testing the internal and testing things like this SCSI, Blue SCSI, because, and Zulu SCSI, because the 7600 has got a synchronous internal SCSI bus, the 10 megabits a second or whatever. The 7600 has quite a fast internal SCSI bus, faster than lots of the other Macs. So I use it for speed testing, and I actually have a G3 upgrade card in my 7600. It might even be G4, but it's a G something. But I do pull it out. Actually, it's on the dining room floor at the moment. I have to find a home for it. You know, doesn't everyone keep Macs on their dining room floor? Oops. I'm planning to put it into my storage unit, but I've just been using it a bit lately because I've been doing sort of vintage Mackie type stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, you might find a power supply. I'm really not sure. I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't provide one because I know that one of the ones that I have, the power supply is shot. I need to repair it. So I'm actually down a power supply. Let's grab... What have we got left? I think... Was that it? Is that all? I think that's all of them. I mean, I'll check around here, but I don't think I've got any more ceramic caps. Oh, they gave me a spare button. Isn't that nice of them? Oh no, I missed one. They don't give you spares anymore. I remember there was a time when you used to get spares. There we go. Okay. Let's get this button on there. Oh boy. Oh, I've buried Davros. I'll dig him out in a minute. Poor Davros. There we go. Where are you, chap? Here he is. Come on, Davros. I'm going to come here and look over this as we work. There we go. There's an ATX adapter board available for the 70. Oh, well, that's good. That is a good way to go, because that makes life a lot easier. For the 7X00. Now, I think that's it for all of the non-polar capacitors, for all the ceramic capacitors. I'm going to have a quick look here just to see if there are any gaps, but I think I put them everywhere. If I haven't, well, I really should just check here, shouldn't I? 7.8. Yep. 12.13. 12.13. C235. 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 5. That's all of them. Yeah, so that's all the ceramic caps. Let's now do the LED. We've got a little green LED here, and we are going longer lead to the square pad. So there it is. Is it D3? Yep, D3. So to the square pad. As we know, diodes are, a light emitting diodes are a diode, which means they only allow the flow of electrons in one direction. And so they have to be put in the right way around. So if you're building a kit, you do have to make sure those LEDs go in the right way around. I built something recently with a whole stack of LEDs, and I managed to get one around the wrong way. And because they were set up as like an array, it actually made a whole bunch of them not work. So as soon as I found that one that was around the wrong way, put it around the right way, everything started working beautifully. You will obey. Okay, and we've got a plug here. Here's a plug. Face the opening outwards. Is this my power supply? Is it? If it is, I'm not happy. J9. I hope it came with a plug. Oh, it's got a barrel connector as well. Did it come with a plug? No, it didn't come with a plug. Of course it didn't. That'd be too much to ask. Oh, USB. This connector is optional. That means I can probably power it via USB. That's nice. There we go. Outward. Okay, cool. That's fine. So let's just get this done. Now, because this, I need to solder it and I need to hold it in position at the same time, which means I can't have the soldering iron in one hand and the solder in the other hand. What I generally do is I hold it with one hand, I hold the solder next to the pins like that, and then I just put the iron up next to it, and then that just melts the solder onto the pins. And then I can then just top up each one at a time with some solder. That's a way of soldering it on there without needing any additional flux. You can just use the flux of the solder that melts at the time, that works at the time it melts. And I've done this frickin' crooked. Crooked as a politician. There we go. That'll be a bit straighter. Nah, it's still crooked. Good enough for rock and roll. Yeah. You know, that Davros has had to deal with some rebellion from the Daleks from time to time. Transistors. What have we got? We've got an 8550. That's an 8550. He goes into Q1. These are a little bit easier to find, thankfully. Q1. CEB, that is collector, emitter and base. This is a PNP. Push that into Q1. There we go. And then we have another one. And we're looking for a 9014. I'm getting really lucky with picking up the right thing here. 9014. Haha. Q2. Q2, 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 Q2. There it is. This is an NPN. So the other one is a PNP. This is an NPN. These are nice and easy to know which way around they go because of the shape that they have on the screen printing. They show you where the bulge is meant to be, so then you can't get them wrong. Well, you can get them wrong, but it's just a lot harder to do that. I'm really trying to speed this up now because I would love to actually fire this up today. Compared to a lot of the other kits that I've done on these live streams, this one has a lot more soldering to do. So just keep that in mind if it's something that you want to do. This one is definitely more of a building project. Whereas, as I said, the one that I did last time, which was a little handheld game, which is wonderful as it was, had very few components to actually solder on. This one used to be available. This is this one here that I did last time. This one used to be available with a big dip chip that used to go along here that you would fit in a socket, and you could actually go in and reprogram it and stuff like that. Apparently they had availability issues with that big chip, so they've gone now to this little surface mount one. So the original kit of this used to actually have it so that you would solder in a socket and then you'd put the socketed chip in there. But now it comes with this actually already, the surface mount already soldered to the board. But anyhow, that was a really good fun thing, as I mentioned right at the beginning of the stream. Don't have all weekend. Calm down, calm down. You're sitting there with a cat on your lap. You've got plenty of time. Right, next thing, we've got capacitor trimmers. Now I apparently have two of these. You can only see one. Ah, no, here it is. Whoopsie. Now they're both the same, even though they're different colours. Okay. Alright. C4 and C6. C4, C6. I've got no, here we go, C4 and C6. There we go. Now they actually have these. They need to be around a particular way. So they've done them so that they're that way around. Yep, that is right. That's right. Got it. We're all good. I'm just following the shape of the screen print with the shape of the component, even though I have no idea what's what on this component. Just putting my faith in the people who built this kit. Okay. Have managed to crash Tetris for the first time. Was it someone finished it or something? Someone got all the way through it or something? I can't remember. 30C there and 30F here. It's actually warmer than 30C. It's 32 here. The temperature you're seeing up there is from what they refer to as Observatory Hill, or main part of Sydney. And of course Sydney, the main part of Sydney, is actually very close to the water, so it's quite a lot colder there. Cooler. Here I am a lot further west. When I say a lot further, if I was to hop into a car and to drive to the beach, if I was to just drive in a straight line east, I mean straight-ish line, the roads are a little bit wobbly, probably take me about 45 minutes, I'd say, to get to the water from where I am now. But it is significantly warmer, this part of the world. The forecast high for today is 35 degrees C, and that's expected at around about 3 p.m. So that's, a couple of hours time. Oh yes, yes. We've been sort of, Jay is obsessed with cold weather and snow, and we have been chatting about this in our little group chat, and we see that there is some Jay-friendly weather coming. Okay, we've got another inductor here. This is a much bigger one. This one goes at L2. L2. Where am I going to find that? Struggling here. L2, there we go. Now, these are not polarized, but it still has a square and a round pin, but it's okay. Warm monitor, minus 22, no way. It doesn't actually ever get that cold here, not in this part of the world. The coldest we're ever likely to get here in this part of Western Sydney, we might get down, if you're really unlucky, you might get down to about like -3, -4 degrees Celsius. That's about as cold as it gets at the coldest part of winter. And that's the way I like it. Alright, now we've got some capacitors to stick on here. We've got a whole stack of 100 microfarad 16 volt. So, they're all the same. All of them. 100 microfarad 16 volt. That makes life easy, doesn't it? 100 microfarad 16, 100 microfarad 16, microfarad 16, what was that? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And that's what we've got. So, we've got C19. I think it's all the C's that are left, to be honest. So I can just put these in. Now, these are polarized. These are electrolytic capacitors. They have a stripe on the negative side, and the positive is a longer pin. So these are marked on the positive on the board. So, let's see, 22. So I just have to make sure that the stripe is on the other side to the plus. And C19. And C21. Sorry, my big head's in the way again. C26. And last but not least, it's not least, it's exactly the same as the others. There we go. That's the positive there. So, it's the negative on the other side. 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 Yep, we're good. Now I have to bend some pins so these don't fall out. There we go. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to solder one pin on each of them, and then I shall push them from the other side and remelt that solder to get them flush. So there, just doing one side of each one. 3, 4, 5, 6. That one's going to fall out. Okay. So then what I do is I've melted one pin, but then what I do is I put the soldering iron onto that solder to melt it, and then I push the component up. And I push it up until it is flush with the board. Then I take away the soldering iron and let it cool. And that's holding that flush. And then I solder the other side. So let's do that with all the rest of these. Get it flush. There we go. Flush. 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 Don't forget to flush. There we go. So let's have a look at them. They're all, oh yes, they're all looking nice and flush. So now we can solder the other side. Just a little reminder to everyone that all of the soldering tips that I give are to do with the way that I solder. They're not necessarily the way everyone solders. I have had a few people that have watched my videos and have actually commented, you're doing it wrong. It's not how you do it. And of course you have to keep in mind that when it comes to soldering, there are so many different ways of achieving the same thing. And some people do things differently, and I accept that totally. It doesn't mean that anyone is doing something right or wrong. It is simply that they have a different way of doing it. And what I say to any of those people that watch my video and say, you're doing it wrong, my suggestion is make your own video of the way you do it. That's probably the best thing. No need to comment on mine, because the way I do it is the way I do it. Okay. Oh, Carthor is here. Hello. Hello, Carthor. I haven't said hello to you. You've probably been here for ages, but I haven't said hello to you. My car windows froze shut. Good grief. It's no good. Ah, yes, Jay does like the cold. He gets very excited when it's snowing, but you know what? You want to see an angry person when he's told that there's going to be snow and none arrives. That is an upset Jay. Okay, so we've got J10. This is our little power connector. So this is just one of those little barrel type connectors that you would find in a lot of devices. Once again, I'm going to hold this. I'm going to put a little bit of solder there so that I can hold it in position while I melt the solder on. Like that. Now he's in position, I can solder the other 3 pins. So I think I can power this off USB. So it's an old USB mini connector. But either way, I'll figure something out. That's good. We've got a little header. 3-pin header. And he goes here. Do the same with this one, holding it in position. You've got to be careful when you are holding these in position, because these conduct the heat right through those pins almost immediately. So if you're holding these pins with your hand while you solder from the other side, it will hurt. Pretty much guaranteed. So what I do is I just hold my nail just on the plastic part as I spin over, and then solder, solder. Ow, 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 ow. I like soldering at 370 degrees C or higher, and I get in and out quickly. Paul, you're exactly the same as me. And we won't talk about all of the out of context connotations that could be taken from someone saying in and out quickly, but that is exactly the same way that I solder, though I do solder with my iron on a slightly higher temperature. But I just like to try and solder as fast as possible. We've got a little sticky uppy pin headery thingy, doozo thingy, fudge, whatever. J7. Wherever that is. J7, there we go. Okay, let's get that one in position. Give me some solder. Give me some solder. There we go. We're getting to the pointy end here, folks, so not too much longer to wait, I don't think. These are all the fun components. I consider these the fun components because they're all different shapes and sizes. It's more enjoyable. Okay, then we've got this great big fat long connector. This one's going to take me a little while to solder on, unfortunately, because there's lots and lots of pins. So I'll do one from this side. And then we'll do one from this side. Okay, that's held in position. Now I can work my way through all the other pins. Ever tried blue tack to hold a component? I haven't. I I sort of this method that I've been using is that I've been showing, where I kind of hold the component with a hand and then put a piece of solder on the top and then just melt it on there to hold it in position. That's the kind of way I've been doing it for a while now, and I don't know. I know it seems a bit clunky, but I've got quite quick at it. When I was, doing things like assembling blue scuzzies constantly, because I used to sell the blue scuzzies version 1, and it would give people the option. They could buy them as a kit or buy them assembled, and a surprisingly large number of people did not want to build them and would just buy them assembled, and so they were all being hand assembled by me. Now, I could be drag soldering this, but I've never been much of a fan of drag soldering these sorts of connectors. I just don't particularly like the results I get. I do prefer to just solder each pin one at a time. It's not too bad. I'm still hungry for churros. Would you compare this kit oscilloscope to your regular one to check accuracy and functionality? No. No. I mean, all you have to do is look at the leads. These are the leads that come with this kit. These aren't going to be particularly accurate. But, it depends on the purpose you're going to be using it for. You can do more with something like this than not having an oscilloscope at all. You can measure stuff with these, but we'll do a little test later on. So, because we're getting very, very close. We've got a slippy slidey switch here. Is switch 1, switch 2. Oh, we've got a couple, 3 of them, 3 switches. Now these are nice and easy to know which way around they go, because the pins are set up in such a fashion that these can only be put in one way. Like that band One Direction. Whatever happened to One Direction? Are they still around? Oh, no. I'm an old person. Okay, this pin here is actually it's taking quite a bit of soldering. It's because this pin is connected to the case of this switch, which is all one great big chunk of metal, and so it's just pulling all the heat out of the iron. So I'm having to hold it there for quite a while to get that metal hot, to then melt the solder onto it. If it ain't sticking, if the solder's just not automatically transferring across, something's not right. And in this instance, what wasn't right is just not hot enough. And that's just because this whole switch here is a great big piece of metal, and when I apply heat to the little pin coming off it, it's just automatically just dissipating. That thing just becoming a great big heat sink and pulling all the heat out of the iron. Now, these pins will be much easier, because these aren't a great big chunk of metal. So I'm just going to do all those. Each one of these has 8 pins, so it's one fancy little switch, I've got to tell you. Not a fan of drag. I do actually drag solder all the time. If you are watching me solder on a surface mount component, you will see me drag soldering all the time. I just don't drag solder with, things like the thing that I solder the most is probably SCSI connectors, which is like a 50-pin version of one of those. All right, they're all soldered. We've got the switches on there. BNC connector. Good old BNC connector, eh? And he should be fairly easy to figure out where that goes. I assume that just goes at J1. There you go. Now this is going to be another fun one because these here, alright? These here are connected to the outside of this. So when I apply heat there, that heat's just going to get sucked away. So I'm going to have to leave it on there for a bit till it gets nice and hot, and then it'll start pulling, pulling the solder on it. But at the moment, the solder wants nothing to do with it. It's completely staying away from it. It's not adhering to it. It's melting over the side of it. Starting to attract solder now. Oopsie. It's already up. I'm on 420 degrees. I think that's about as hot as it goes. Oops, I did it again. If you press and hold it down, it switches off. Yeah, 420 is the max of this one. What we can do is we can get this fella. This is my other soldering iron. We can get a great big fat tip. Like this. I'm trying to put this in here without burning myself. There we go. Great big fat tip like this. This great big beveled tip. It's a monster of a thing. I switch this on. That is not hot enough. Up. There we go. So I'll wait for this to heat up. Another thing I could have done is I could have used the hot air station to heat the outside of this thing to get some heat across to it. But in all honesty, I could have just put a bigger tip on the other iron. But this, I don't have a tip this big on the other iron. So this is the big, this is the Widowmaker. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. Yep, that's doing it now. Just get that point where it starts melting. Yeah. There's already some residual heat in this thing now, so this side's a lot easier than the first side. There we go. And then there's the other pin. There we go. So that's soldered on. That ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. Right. Righty. Okay, so we're now onto the other page, which means we are getting pretty darn close to completion. Test signal ring. Make a small ring with a lead cut off. So let's find a lead cut off. We'll find a decent sized one. Excuse me, Davros. Fat head on the screen. Oh wow, what are these? I've missed some components. Sorry, folks. I missed the regulators. Regulators! Mount up. Alright, so 79 LO5, 78 LO5. That's a 79 LO5. And he goes to U4. LO5 and 78 LO5 goes to U5. Glad we found those. Would have been embarrassment. How's everyone holding out? I sort of feel like now that I've been going for 2.5 hours, people are probably getting a little bit on board. They're all like, yeah, I want to know if this oscilloscope works, but holy cow. Do I really have to sit there and watch the whole thing getting built? Oh man, this thing's still hot. Everyone's surviving? I won't be offended if you have to come and go. As long as you remember to smash that like button. Oh, pleasure live stream. That's good to you. Aren't you starving, Bruce? Yes, I am. But I don't mind having a bit of a food break. It'll make me all the more hungry for tonight's dinner. I can sit here and dream of churros. All right, now I was finding a lead. I need to find a lead. These are all really thin. I want a slightly thicker lead. How thick's this one? That's all right. Lead. I've actually got some wire up here. Maybe this is too thick. Is that too thick? No, this is all right. This is a good size, I think. Let's just see if this is stuff that will take solder, because I know I have some wire that doesn't take solder. Ow. It gets hot, that's for sure. Let's just see if I can get solder to adhere to this. I think this is hydrosolderish. No, solderphobic. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh no, solder's sticking to it. Yep, we'll just use this stuff. It's a bit thicker. Okay, so this goes into, we've got to make a little loop, and the loop is here. Got all the caps off my portable. Cleaning the pads. So is that a backlight or a non-backlight portable? See, I know the questions to ask. Backlight, yeah. That's the desirable one. I'd love to own one day. I don't like my chances. I think I've missed that boat. There are very few of them here in Australia. They didn't sell particularly well out here. And I sort of feel like any that are still around, you know, people, if someone does want to sell them, they're selling them for an absolute fortune. There aren't any caps in the display. That is correct. You don't have to recap the display in those. Righty. What's this one? Short JP3 with solder. Why? Why would you do that? JP3 has already got a 0 ohm resistor on it, so I don't need to do that. I can see it here. It's just JP3 is right there, and you may not be able to see it, but just at the end of my fingernail there is a 0 ohm resistor, which is essentially like a jumper. Installed to the side opposite to the LCD. What's it? Oh, okay. LCD board. J1, J2, J3. So, let's get our board. What? J1. What? What? What are you doing to me? You're messing with me. Oh, J3, J7, J8. So I missed a couple here. Sorry. But J3, J7, J8. So I didn't solder on J8 before. I thought there was a second one here, but I'm like, no, it didn't ask me to do a second one. But it did, I just didn't read it. Looks like it's been stored in its bag for 30 plus years. The case is gorgeous. Definitely some leaky caps though. Yeah, even the through-hole electrolytics leak on those. The biggest thing that sucks about those is how close the caps are to those connectors for the keyboard, the plugs that go into the keyboard and the trackball. Just getting a soldering iron in there for soldering them is just a nightmare. Righty. So, install 2 times 1. Yeah, okay, that's already done. I don't need to do that. Now, check voltages. Apply 9 volt power to J10 or J9. J9, J10. Well, they didn't supply me with anything in the shape or form of a plug. So I'm going to have to just get creative with that. What have we got here? Oh, that's fine, except that it's 5 volts, not 9. Bugger. Do I mess with this? I know I've got some leads here. I just have to find them. Leads. There's some leads. Are they going to reach? So we've got positive. And we've got... Oh, God, I've got to do this without shorting. That's going to be easier said than done. How about I do that one positive there? Where's the negative? Which one's the negative? Negative. I'll need to multimeter it. Multimeter it. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This is just, you know, because why not? No, I'm thinking on the fly here. Where on earth did I put the... Oh, the leads are up here, you dumbass. Not very long though, are they? So put the negative on there, and then I'll put the positive into here. And that should give us our power, as long as they frickin' reach the power supply. Oh, 11 volts, 10, 9, 8.3. God, the knobs on this thing are crazy. I need to get my other one back here. Trying out a different power supply and it ain't good. Trying to get an exact voltage on this dial. Oh, for fridge magnet's sake. Oh, son of a bitch. Seriously, it's going to take me half an hour to just get 9 volts on this thing. 902, 901. There we go. 901. That'll do. That will do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Okay. Get in there, you son of a gun. Okay, that's shorting. It appears to be shorting. So I need to probably come at this from that angle. Let's try that. Okay, that's not shorting. Right, so let's have a look at this thing here. The instructions say apply 9 volt power. Check voltage at TP22. It should be around 3.3 volts. Kai Wheat's KM601 digital multimeter. And it's smart. Oh, dumbass. There we go. DC voltage. And what did it say? It said at TP22. If voltage of TP22 is good, disconnect power. TP22. TP22. Where the hell is TP? Oh, there it is. TP22. Okay, so what is that? Negative there and positive there. Let's try there. .3 volts, looks pretty bloody close to me. 3.3 volts. And so then it says, okay, you've done good, give yourself a pat on the back. And then it says, short JP4 with solder permanently. You just have to find JP4 now. JP1, JP2, JP5, JP6. JP3. He's behind you. Searching for JP4. Got a rough idea of what it should look like. Oh, it's already shorted. Ugh. Okay. Plug LCD board into the female headers. Ooh. Like thusly. Connect to power supply again. You should see LCD lights up and oscilloscope panel displayed. Press various buttons and move switches to verify their functions. Yeah. Attach probe clips to J1. Touch the red clip with your finger. Do you see signal from your finger? Ooh. Right. So we have to do this again until I rig up something more permanent skis. Okay, we ready? Oh, I'm shorted again. Can I power it off USB? Is that what the USB is for? Ah. Negative, positive. Shorted again. What can I find here? I need to dig up a connector. I need to make myself a more... This'll do. This'll do. I shall just wire in power for a bit. Horse, hello there. Okay. So, V plus there. Probably poke it through that hole there. Just check that. My watch is telling me it's time to stand. I'm trying to set something up here that will be a bit sort of flaky but not too flaky. That ain't ideal. But you know what? We're only trying to get something rigged up temporarily. I will make something far more permanent at a later date. Like get a suitable plug. I don't. Sorry, Enzo. I don't think I do. I definitely don't think I do. I mean, of all the, connections here, I'm... So I've got some nice big fat wire here. I'm just going to solder onto this pin. This is so clunky, but all we care about is getting this thing up and running. There we go. Oh, crap. There we go. Now we should have some power. So I'll just get these wires. Click. Click. And now we can just sort of not worry about this. We can just have it connected up and it'll just work. We think it'll just work. This one to the negative. And this one to the positive. There we go. Plonk them together. Power him on. Hey, look at that. We got the lights and everything. Oh, we're upside down. Okay, so there are a few things here. First of all, the display is upside down. Oh, I mean, unless I'm holding it upside down. I suppose that's always possible, isn't it? But it is really kind of flickery, yucky. This is... I mean, it's sort of working, but it's, I don't know if you can see how flickery it is. It looks kind of like, I don't know, an old 80s microcomputer connected to a channel 4 on a TV set. But I do think I'm holding it upside down. Except that all the switches are around the wrong way now. Oh, I bloody unconnected the thing. You know what? You know what? You know what? Where's my plug? Got it here somewhere. Nope, nope. Had it here before. Can't be too far away. Is that it? Nope. But it's a good point though. Can I power this off USB? Because it does actually have a USB connector here. Can I power this off 5 volts? Is that it? Nope. Sorry, I'm trying to find something I had with me earlier. And it's probably fallen on the floor. I will need to change glasses because these glasses don't allow me to see very far. There it is. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I've got this plug here. It's USB on one end and it's this barrel connector on the other end. I'm going to cut it so that I can use this to power it. Now I've got to change back to the other glasses again. Boop, boop. But the flickery screen is definitely a concern. I'm not quite sure why that is the case. I'll have to probably do some investigating. Okay, there we go. Now we've got that. Ouch, hot solder. There you go, that to the positive. That to the negative. Put that over here. Plug this in here. Switch them on. There we go. Alright, so let's have a little look at this. And I'll switch these things. Oh, okay, well that's this having an effect. I've got ground, AC, DC. I can see that changing on the screen there. I've got 1.1 10 millivolts, so I can see that changing the number there. And I've got 5 times, 2 times. Yeah, that's going to be with the sensor, so which I haven't even got connected at this stage. So I'm going to. There's no power switch on this, which is a kind of a bit of a bugger. I'm going to just lift this off. We might have issues related to. I missed anything there? That all looks okay. Just see if I've got anything that looks like I might be solder running into another pin. Probably should inspect it under the microscope, but just make sure that we haven't got any accidental contacts being made between pins. Like that. That looks awfully close. What was that? That was a capacitor. Is there any kind of grounding on the screen? Not that I can see. But I am going to just clean the bottom of this a little, because it's got all of my, leftover flux and everything, the rosin. And I did see something there where there was a little bit of solder right between 2 pins that could well have been giving me a little bit of unwanted contact there. And it could have been something as simple as that. There we go, that's looking a lot better. Check and make sure that everything looks soldered. I mean, I'll probably have a look at this under the microscope at some stage, just to see how it's looking. Just check all of this. See the stuff that I haven't done. Because let's face it, it's more likely to be something they've done than something I've done. Try and convince myself of that. Some bit of corrosion, or bit of, looks like almost like liquid that's got onto this this display. All right, let's plonk him on again and just see how we go. Now we've got just a white screen. Oh, we're not getting the... Okay, we've got the LED that time. Still got all the flickery crap. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to investigate that. Maybe it's something to do with these little adjusters here. I don't know. Oh, we'll see what it says. Hey, how about a look at the manual? That might tell me. Troubleshooting. LCD dark, no. No trace, no. There's places here where I can check all different voltages on the board. And then here is the part where we talk about sort of testing and stuff like that. So let's get the probes. These ones. It's my multimeter switching off. You don't have to worry about that. And we'll connect this up here. Oh, look at that. We've actually got a waveform happening there. That's just wiggly stuff happening from me. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so because there is always blah 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 blah, connect the red clip to the test signal terminal and leave the black clip unconnected. Done that. Send one switch to 0.1 volts. That's the middle. And send two switch to X5. It's already there. Set CPL switch to AC or DC. Well, it's on DC. Adjust time base to 0.2 milliseconds. Time base. Excuse me. Parameter adjustment, is it this one? Okay. It's so hard for me to see what the screen's actually saying. I feel like I'm close, but I don't know. It's telling me to set the time base to 0.2 milliseconds, but I just can't even see that. Just time, you should see waveforms similar to that shown in the photos below. I should see a waveform similar to that shown in the photos below. I do not. Okay, well, this, quite unlike the other one that I built another oscilloscope up here quite some time ago. Now this one, on the other hand, just worked. So I'm going to jump across and show you that one, because this one here is being a bit of a cow. So this one's going to need some looking at. But I'm not going to do that now because I have already been going for 3 hours and I am definitely running out of day. This one here, I am going to grab the power, steal it from that and put it into here. And this one actually has an off and on switch, this one. Isn't that nice? DSO shell. Noisy power, I wouldn't have thought so. Sean, hello there. You know, look, it could be something to do with the screen itself. I mean, I know that I have had instances with these sorts of LCD screens where I've had just problems with the screens. But I don't know. I mean, I need to do more investigating. I can get hold of these from my local J-car, so I may end up just buying a replacement and just popping that in and see if it makes a difference. But the other thing I do need to do is I need to go over all of my soldering. I'll get it under the microscope. I'll look at all of the contacts and make sure I've done all fine. I'm pretty confident about the placement of all the components. I was pretty careful with where I put everything. But, yeah, who knows. So, if I put that there, what do I do here? So what was it saying? This was saying to put it at 0.2 milliseconds. And then we want it to be oh no, 50 millivolts. What is this saying? This is saying to 0.1 volts, and to X5. That's DC, should be fine. It's got a thing going pew 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 pew. Oh, look at that. Got lots of wibbly wobbly stuff. I cannot remember how to run this at all. It has instructions with it, and I'm sure they're somewhere. So we've got the AC, DC up there, and ground. Okay, AC, DC. Oh no! Look, I've got a some sort of wave, square wave that just came in there for something. No. Norm auto. I don't know if the signal generator is not working on this anymore or something, but anywho, well, once again with it was doing all sorts of weird things then. Once again with these sorts of kits, you never really know what you're going to get. I have, you know, I could well have put something in the wrong place or around the wrong way or something like that. I don't think I did, but you never know. I do need to go over it and check it. As usual, when I do these kits, I do a follow-up if there has been a problem. And I'll probably do a follow-up video with this one because I feel fairly certain that short of there actually being something inherently wrong with the kit, it will be something that I've done stupid and can be fairly easily resolved. We know there are a few things that we do know. We know we're getting the voltages to the right place. We do know that it is actually loading the software because we're seeing all of the stuff happening on the screen. But we've just got that terrible noise going on there, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. But we'll have to see and check and find out what's going on there. But anyhow, that is all we have time for today because it is 3 hours worth of live streaming, and I only plan to live stream for 2 hours. But this was the most labour-intensive kit I have done in quite some time, short of actually doing a one of these blue scuzzy things. These things take me frickin' ages to do. Check the last 2 regulators you installed last. Well, you think I got them around the wrong way? Sure I didn't. Sure I didn't. But I will check. Okay, so there was that one. That was 79L05. Yep, that's right. Well, there was only 2 supplied, so. And 78L05. And that's in there. And they're around the right way. So I've just checked them. And they're all soldered in. Ultrasonic clean it. Just looking. Just check and make sure. I'm going to have a quick look in the microscope just to check and make sure that the surface mount components that they put on are being soldered correctly. Because you never know. Pretty good. I don't see anything here that gives me pause. Do. That looks fine. Yeah, I'll give it a better look. Later. I feel like it shows definite promise, put it that way. in their troubleshooting, they make no mention of the problem that I'm having. Just checking these switches. They've got the pins are very, very close together. I want to make sure that I didn't accidentally bridge any of these pins, but they all look okay. I can actually show you what I'm looking at. There we go. Did I recap it? Recap it? No, I didn't. 240 of Australia's finest volts through it. Just feel like we're so bloody close, you know, because it's loading up and everything. Geez, that's a crappy soldering job. Oh, that's the one I soldered from the other side. So that should be fine. But that's why it looks so crappy, because I soldered it from the other side. I did solder a few components from the other side, so they're making contact on the other side. Why are there two? Nothing's there. Oh, they're places just for me to test voltage. Doobity boop boop boop. Doobity boop boop boop. Well, so I am probably going to have to go and check that I put everything in the right place and I didn't stick somewhere in the wrong place and all that sort of stuff. I'm not looking forward to doing that, because that's boring and tedious. But I am probably going to have to do it. I have to do my due diligence. But I'm not going to do it today. That is a promise. It seems really odd. Do they show it as... Yeah, see, they show it as being around the other way. So my image is definitely upside down. I bet you it can run Doom. I bet you someone could program this to run Doom easily. I find it very, very curious that I am getting an upside down image. And all of the photos that they show indicate that the picture should be around the same way as the screen printing on the board, but it's not. It's upside down. So that's another problem that we have. So weird. So weird. Alright, well, lost interest. So we're just going to do the normal thing here. I'm going to jump it back here to there. I want to say thank you to everyone. I'm going to just change my glasses here. Thank you to everyone for persevering. Here we go. For persevering with this, and I'm sorry that we didn't get the oscilloscope actually up and running, but what I will do is I will fiddle around, find the fault, I will fix it up, I will get it so that it's working, then I'll do a follow-up stream. And in that follow-up stream, what we might do is actually do some comparisons. I'll do some comparison with this little oscilloscope, and this oscilloscope, and the big oscilloscope. And we'll just check and see how good it is from a diagnostics perspective, and whether it is actually worth going to the trouble of building this kit for a cheap option of a cheap way of getting an oscilloscope for doing some testing. So that is definitely coming. That's a promise. Just a reminder, this is Davros. Davros is disabled, and Davros is evil, but the two are not connected. Okay, disabled people aren't inherently evil. and evil people aren't inherently disabled. So be careful not to get those two mixed up. Davros, evil. Okay, so once again, thank you everyone for joining. Really appreciated your company, especially given how long this went for. 3 hours and 15 minutes. That's, yeah, my microphone's probably going to die any second now. I thank you all for keeping the chat nice and lively. Thank you for keeping me company. I do hope you enjoyed at least some of it. Sorry we didn't get it working, but we will get it working in the future. So thanks again to you all. Have a very good rest of evening, morning, day, whatever it happens to be in your part of the world. For all those people in the wintry parts of the world, stay warm. And I hope to see you at the next one. Lots of cool videos coming out in the not too distant future. So thanks again, and bye-bye.